My beloved child, there are seasons in your life when it seems as though every door has closed. Everything familiar has slipped from your hands, and even the sky above you has fallen silent. You have watched what you cherished vanish like morning mist beneath the scorching sun. You have carried losses in your heart that were not easy to name. You have walked through days when your smile was only a thin garment covering the heaviness within. But my child, I want you to know that not a single tear of yours has fallen without me seeing it, and not a single sigh has risen from you without me hearing it. What you have lost is not a sign that I have abandoned you, and the days of your pain are not proof that you have been forgotten. There are fires that do not come to consume you, but to separate from you what is no longer needed. There are strong winds that do not come to knock you down, but to make your roots sink deeper into my steadfast love. I know there have been times when you sat silently in your own room, staring into the emptiness before you and wondering why you had to endure so much. I know you have forced yourself through each day while inside you felt like an emptied vessel, holding only the echoes of weariness and unanswered questions. But my beloved child, I do not measure your strength by the times you did not cry, nor do I measure your faith by the days you did not tremble. I see your courage in the fact that you are still here, still breathing, still searching for a ray of light, still wanting to believe even though your heart has been driven to the edge many times. You are not weak simply because you are tired. You have not failed simply because you once wanted to let go. There are people who remain standing not because they have never fallen, but because each time they fell, my hand quietly lifted them up again. Remember that I never called you to walk this road alone. I did not place burdens on your shoulders and then stand far away to watch. When you no longer have strength to take another step, I am the one who enters your silence, draws near to you in places no one can see, and gently carries the part you cannot bear by yourself. When you think you have run out of hope, I am still planting new seeds beneath the dark soil. When you think your life has been reduced to ashes, I am still preparing from those ashes a beauty you cannot yet imagine. The days when you do not understand the way do not mean you have wandered beyond my guidance. There are paths I open without noise, miracles I perform in quietness, and restorations that begin in the very place you thought was only an ending. Long ago, there was a man called Joseph, a young man who carried radiant dreams in his heart. Yet his path passed through the pit, through chains, through betrayal, and through years of being forgotten. He was not first sold by strangers, but pushed into suffering by those closest to him. He had to live in a foreign land, be misunderstood, be falsely accused, and then be locked away in a dark place where it seemed no one remembered him anymore. If you looked with natural eyes, you would think every good promise had died in that prison. But my child, that very place which seemed abandoned was the room I used to shape a steadfast heart. Those hidden years prepared Joseph for the day he would rise and help many people. What others used to wound him, I turned into the road that brought him to the place he needed to be. And so it is with you. There are parts of your journey today that you do not yet understand, but one day you will look back and recognize that my hand had been quietly arranging every step, never allowing your pain to become meaningless. Therefore, do not rush to draw conclusions about your life while you are still in the middle of the journey. Do not call one sorrowful chapter the whole story. Do not look at winter and think that spring has died. I am the one who can cause life to sprout even in the driest ground, who can kindle light where you thought darkness had prevailed, who can use the very cracks in your heart so that my gentle light may shine through them. What you are going through is not meant to make you smaller, but to enlarge within you a new capacity, a capacity for patience, for tenderness, for a faith that clings to me even when the eyes have not yet seen the outcome. I do not promise that you will always understand everything at the moment it happens, but I promise that you will never be left behind in the midst of it. You have already overcome many things you once thought you could not survive. There were nights when you thought you would dissolve in sorrow, yet morning still found you. There were days when you thought every door had been sealed shut, yet I still opened for you a narrow path just wide enough for you to keep walking. There were moments when all you had left was a fragile spark of faith, yet I guarded that little flame like a lamp before the wind. Do you see it? My grace was not lacking yesterday, and it will not be lacking today. The same grace that carried you through the old storm will carry you through this one. The same hand that kept you from sinking in the past will keep you standing in the present. I am not the one who brings you halfway and then lets go. What I have begun in you, I will continue to tend, shape, heal, and complete with love that does not change. So, my beloved child, when your heart trembles, lean on me. When you do not know what to ask for in prayer, simply remain still in my presence. When you have no words left to speak, your tears are enough for me to understand. I do not demand that you be strong in the way the world praises strength. I only invite you to place your small hand in mine, so I may lead you one step at a time. Perhaps today you cannot see the full picture, but I am weaving every thread with wisdom far beyond your sight. Perhaps today you see only broken pieces, but in my hands, even broken pieces can become a new vessel of blessing. Do not fear the slow days, for seeds also need time in the soil. Do not despise small steps, for each small step will lead you out of the darkness. Do not reject your tears, for I can turn them into streams that water the garden within you. I am preparing you for a brighter season, but that brightness is not only about outward things being restored. I want to give you a more enduring heart, a deeper faith, and a peace that is not easily swept away by change. I want you to come out of this trial not only with new things in your hands, but with a new light in your eyes, a new gentleness in your words, and a new steadiness in every decision. There will come a day when you look back on this road and understand that I was there in every moment, in the room where you cried, on the road where you quietly walked alone, in the prayers you could not speak aloud, and even in the seasons when you thought I was silent. I was still there, closer than your breath, gentler than the dawn, more faithful than the mountains. My beloved child, there is a rest the world cannot understand, because it is not born from favorable circumstances, nor does it come from every problem disappearing. That rest begins when you stop placing yourself in the position of having to control everything. Stop using your small hands to hold things that were never yours to govern, and willingly allow me to lead you according to my ways. Many times, you have thought that if everything were arranged exactly as you wished, your heart would finally feel light, that if you only had one more answer, one more assurance, one more clear sign, your anxiety would cease. But my child, I speak gently to you. True peace does not come when you grasp every detail, but when you know that you are being held in my hand. When you surrender control, you do not lose your safety. You enter a deeper place of safety, where my love becomes a shelter over every breath you take. I have seen you running through many long days with a heavy mind, like someone carrying a vessel filled to the brim, afraid to set it down because you fear that if you let go, everything will shatter. You worry about tomorrow, grieve over yesterday, and then strain yourself in today until you forget that I never called you to live by constant striving. You try to appear strong before others, try to keep everything in order, try to answer every unresolved thing. Yet, the harder you try, the more exhausted you become. It is not because you are not good enough, but because you are carrying burdens that belong to me. There are burdens that become light only when placed in the hands of the one who has the power to sustain them. There are anxieties that are dissolved only when you stop fighting for the throne of your heart and allow me to reign there with gentleness and wisdom. The rest I give is not an invitation for you to flee from responsibility, nor is it indifference toward the things that must be done. It is a new way of living, where you still walk, still work, still love, still remain faithful, but are no longer governed by fear. You do not rest by giving up, but by obeying. You do not receive peace by avoiding responsibility, but by entering responsibility with the knowledge that I am walking with you. When you yield to my calling, even difficult things are upheld by grace. When you resist what I am asking you to release, even small things can become heavy. So look deeply within your heart. Is there anything you are holding too tightly? Is there any path I have repeatedly urged you to leave, yet you still cling to it? Is there any concern that has taken my place within you, causing you no longer to hear my gentle voice clearly? I do not ask these questions to condemn you, but to set you free. For often, what keeps you awake is not only the circumstance outside you, but the hidden struggle within you. One part of you wants to trust me, while another still wants to decide everything on its own. One part of you longs for rest, while another fears that if you stop worrying, everything will slip beyond your reach. But my beloved child, worry does not make you stronger, nor does it make tomorrow more certain. Worry only clouds your eyes to my presence. Surrender does not make you smaller. It brings you into holy order. I am the Father, and you are the child. I lead, and you follow. I know the end, and you only need to be faithful in each step today. Remember Elijah, the one who once stood courageously before the people, yet later became exhausted, afraid, and fled into the wilderness. He had witnessed my power revealed in a mighty way, and yet afterward he still sat alone beneath a tree and wanted everything to end. I did not come to Elijah with harsh rebuke. I did not ask why he had become weak after so many miracles. I let him sleep. I sent an angel to bring him bread and water. I cared for his weary body before I continued to speak to him. Then, when Elijah stood on the mountain, I did not reveal myself only through great shakings, but came in a gentle, deep, and quiet whisper. Do you understand? Sometimes what you need first is not a long explanation, but to return to my presence, to receive the grace I provide, to sleep under my protection, and then to learn again how to hear my voice when the noise has settled. Like Elijah, you may have gone too far in your weariness without realizing that your strength has been drained. You thought that if you only tried a little more, endured a little more, held on a little more, everything would be fine. But I am your Father. I care not only about the results you produce, but also about the way you are living each day. I do not rejoice in seeing you trade your peace for fading measures of worth. I do not want you to place your value in praise, money, success, or the presence of any person. Those things can be gifts when they remain in their proper place, but they become burdens when you turn them into your source of life. Nothing under heaven can take my place as your resting place. The joys of the world may help you forget your weariness for a moment, but only I can soothe the deepest places within you. Therefore, learn to distinguish between distraction and restoration, between noise that makes you forget your emptiness and the presence that fills you. Some pleasures are like passing breezes. They move through quickly and leave behind a silence that is even thirstier than before. Some relationships make you think you are safe, but when that person changes, your heart shakes with them. Some achievements make you happy for an evening, but by morning you need another achievement to reassure yourself. My child, I do not forbid you to enjoy the good things I allow, But I remind you not to build your house upon things that cannot serve as a foundation. Receive the gift, but do not worship the gift. Love people, but do not force them to become your source of peace. Work diligently, but do not let your work define you. Live in the world, but do not let the world teach you how to measure your security. When you return to me, you will realize that rest is not merely stopping, it is being set back into your rightful place in love. You will learn to work without being devoured by ambition, to care for others without forgetting that you are cared for by me, to face challenges without losing the tenderness within you. You will know how to breathe slowly when everything is rushing, how to pray in silence when no words feel clear enough, how to release the things I have not assigned you to hold. My peace is not fragile like a leaf before the wind. It can remain with you in the storm, not because the storm has ceased, but because you know that the one who rules the wind and the sea is in the boat with you. I want you to begin with very small things. Let each morning open not with fear, but with surrender. Speak to me about the things that weigh on your heart before you hand them over to your own anxious imagination. Pause when you realize you are chasing the approval of others. Ask me what must be kept, what must be released, what must be done today, and what must be left in my hands. You do not need to solve your entire life in one day. You only need to walk with me in this day, with a soft heart that knows how to listen, trust, and yield. When you live this way, rest will no longer be a rare moment, but a quiet stream flowing through everything you do. There are times when you think you are simply staying silent to let things pass, but in truth, you are holding thorns inside. There are times when you think you are only a little sad, but if that sadness is not brought before me, it can turn into bitterness. There are times when you think you are only making a brief comparison, but that comparison can open the door for envy to enter and make you forget the unique beauty I have given you. My child, the enemy does not need to destroy you in a single day. It only needs to make you gradually believe things that do not come from me. It will whisper that you are not good enough, that you have been left behind, that you no longer have hope, that you must protect yourself through hardness. But I speak to you in love. Do not let those voices become the foundation within your heart. Whatever does not carry the breath of truth, peace, and holiness, bring it into my light, so it may no longer hide in the darkness. I am not asking you to conceal what is still tangled within your heart. I do not need you to come to me with a polished face, a perfect prayer, or an appearance of strength while inside you are exhausted. I am your Father. I know even the things you have not yet dared to name. What makes you ashamed? I can still touch with mercy. What you fear being exposed, I can still heal with gentleness. What you think would make me leave if you spoke it aloud is the very thing I want you to place in my hands, so it no longer binds you. When you are honest with me, darkness loses its hiding place. When you rightly name the wound, I begin to bind it. When you stop pretending that everything is fine, my grace has room to flow in. Remember the story of David, the one I chose, anointed, and lifted from the pasture to the throne, yet who also made painful mistakes because he did not guard his heart. Everything did not collapse in a single moment. It began with an unchecked glance, a desire that was not brought into the light, one wrong decision followed by another. But when the truth was revealed, what restored David was not self-justification, nor was it his attempt to cover his fault with power. He broke before me, honestly acknowledged what had gone astray, and allowed me to lead him back to the right path. Do you see? I do not tell that story so you will take stumbling lightly, but so you will understand that a heart that knows how to return can still be made new. I hate what destroys you, but I love you with a love great enough to pull you out of that place. Therefore, do not condemn yourself so severely that you no longer dare to rise. But do not take lightly the small cracks in your heart either. A door left slightly open is enough for cold wind to enter. A hurtful word, if you hold on to it too long, can become a wall between you and others. A small habit, if nourished over time, can dim your eyes before what is good. I have not called you to live in fear, but I have called you to live awake. Being awake does not mean suspecting everything. It means placing everything under my light. Being awake does not mean examining yourself with harshness. It means allowing my love to help you recognize what needs pruning, what needs healing, what needs to be released, and what needs to grow. I have not called you to become perfect according to the measure of the world. The world loves a flawless appearance, but I seek sincerity. The world praises the one who never falls, but I lift up the one who knows how to return. The world tells you to hide your weakness, but I invite you to bring your weakness near to me so you may receive strength. My child, holiness is not a spotless mask. Holiness is a journey in which you continually allow me to cleanse, teach, and guide you. When you stumble, come to me immediately. Do not run farther away because of shame. When you realize your heart is growing cold, let me warm it again. When you see jealousy rising within you, let me remind you of the blessing that is uniquely yours. When fear begins to rise, let me place trust back within you. I have given you my holy presence to sustain you each day. That presence is not noisy like the marketplace of the world, but steady like a lamp that does not go out. Sometimes I warn you through a gentle uneasiness when you are about to step into what is not right. Sometimes I draw you back through a wholesome word from someone I send. Sometimes I awaken you through a dream, a memory, or a gentle stirring that makes you want to pray. Apologize, release, or choose what is more upright. Do not despise these small movements. Not every guidance comes like thunder on the mountain. Often I speak in stillness, in a pure inner sense, in a very soft reminder that remains within you. And when you hear that prompting, do not delay. Quick obedience will spare you many unnecessary sorrows. If I remind you to leave a conversation that is polluting your heart, leave it. If I remind you to forgive, begin by placing the pain in my hands. Even if your emotions have not yet caught up, if I remind you to speak the truth, speak it in love. If I remind you to rest, do not regard yourself as the one who must carry the whole world. If I remind you to stop feeding a negative thought, replace it with what is pure and life-giving. Each time you respond to a small guidance, you are building a wider road for peace to enter your life. My beloved child, I want your heart to become a clean and gentle place, a place where I can sow new things, where kindness can grow, where faith is watered, where wounds are no longer hidden beneath layers of silence. Let me enter every room inside you, even the places you locked long ago. I do not come to search you with cold severity. I come as a father entering the room of a hurting child, opening the windows so light can pour in, clearing away what has made you suffocate, and placing on the table again a vase of hope. You do not need to fear my light, for my light does not destroy you. My light sets you free. My beloved child, I know there are hidden places within you where long and weary days have carved sorrowful lines, as if pain wanted to become the text that defines your life. Sometimes you look back at yourself and see only traces of night, marks of waiting, and silences you thought no one heard. But I speak to you with the tenderness of a father. What happened to you is not the final word written over your life. I am the one holding the pen over your story. I can rewrite chapters that seem closed with light. I can turn passages once soaked with tears into places where faith blooms, and I can cause even the fragments you once felt ashamed of to become testimonies of grace. You are not a copy of the wounds that have passed through you. You are a work I am restoring, lifting up, and making new each day. I saw you in nights no one knew about, when the room was quiet, but your heart was filled with silent cries. I saw the pillow wet with tears, your eyes weary from waiting, and the questions that kept turning within you. Why the road remained long though you had prayed. Why the promise had not yet come though you had believed. Why your strength kept fading though you had tried so hard. You thought silence meant I was distant. But no, my child. There are times when I am silent, not because I have left you, but because I am doing a deeper work than you can see. A seed buried in the soil does not hear the applause of the harvest. Yet within it, life is quietly breaking open its shell. So it is with you. In the days when you thought you were being buried, I was preparing you to rise with new life. Do not think your tears have fallen into emptiness. I do not count them like a judge recording guilt, but like a father treasuring every sign of the child he loves. Every sigh of yours has touched my mercy. Every time you bowed your head in exhaustion, I bent closer. Every moment you thought you had no strength left to continue, I placed beneath your feet a foundation of grace so you would not sink. You may not remember all the times I lifted you, because sometimes I lifted you very softly and quietly, like the wind lifting a bird's wings in the open sky. But if you are still here, still longing for what is good, still desiring to be healed, still able to hear the call to return, then that is proof that my hand has never let you go. What I am doing in you is not merely soothing a temporary pain, but rebuilding the entire rhythm within you. I am teaching you to think differently, to see differently, to believe differently. Before, you may have seen yourself as someone pushed around by circumstances, someone who could only endure whatever came. But now I want you to remember that you were not born to live under the shadow of fear. You are covered by grace, called into freedom, lifted to walk with the dignity of one who belongs to me. You no longer need to name yourself by your pain. You no longer need to wear the garment of failure. I am clothing you with a new understanding. You are loved, chosen, guarded, and prepared for a purpose larger than anything you once imagined. Perhaps you are asking, why is restoration so slow? Why do I not change everything in a single moment, my child? I can do things quickly, but I also love what is built to endure. A great tree does not grow in one night. Its roots must go deep. Its trunk must be strengthened by time. Its leaves must learn to endure sun, wind, and rain. I do not merely want you to have one lighter day. I want you to have a foundation that is not easily shaken. I do not merely want you to smile for a moment. I want joy to become a stream within you. I do not merely want you to escape one storm. I want you to know how to stand in peace through every season, because you recognize that I am the one who is with you, whether the sky is clear or covered with clouds. Remember the Samaritan woman at the well. She came to draw water at an hour when few people were there, carrying within her stories that were not easy to speak: shame, weariness, and empty places that relationships could not fill. People may have looked at her with judgment, but I met her with truth and mercy. I did not avoid her wound, nor did I use it to crush her. I touched the deepest thirst within her and gave her a new spring of water, a water that did not merely soothe the throat, but revive dignity, faith, and a voice that had been buried. From a woman who quietly avoided the crowd, she became one who ran back to the town and told others about the encounter that changed her life. Do you see? I can turn the place where you were once ashamed into the very place where you testify of my kindness. And so it is with you. What I am restoring in you will not stop with you alone. When I renew your eyes, others will see hope in them. When I heal the way you speak, your words will no longer sow despair, but encouragement. When I place peace back into your steps, your presence will become a gentle place for those who are weary. I do not allow you to pass through trials merely so you can survive another day. I am turning you into a living witness, not through boastful words, but through the quiet transformation of your life. People will see that you passed through the night without being swallowed by the darkness. They will see that you wept and still learned how to love. They will see that you grew weak and yet were lifted by the gentle power of my grace. Therefore, do not despise the process I am carrying out within you. Some changes begin very small. A morning when you wake with less fear than yesterday. A more honest prayer. A decision not to return to an old habit. A moment when you choose forgiveness instead of nurturing bitterness. An instant when you look at yourself with mercy instead of self-condemnation. These small things are precious in my eyes. They are like a young shoot just rising from the ground, still tender, yet carrying within it the promise of fruit. Do not rush to pull up the sprout to see whether its roots have grown long enough. Let me care for you according to my timing. Let grace water the dry places. Let my truth replace the lies that once made you shrink back. So, rise, not by your own proud strength, but by gentle trust in me. Wipe your tears, not because you must pretend to be strong, but because I am drawing near to lift your face. Open your heart to renewal, for I have not finished the good work within you. One day, you will look back and see that the very nights when you thought you had been forgotten were the places where I taught you to hear my voice more clearly. The very months when you thought you had been emptied were the places where I dug within you a new spring of water. And your very life, with all its broken, painful, waiting places, will become a quiet yet powerful song, telling many people that whoever is touched by me is not left behind in darkness, but is led forth into light, into peace, and into the abundant life I give.